Good evening, everyone. I am going to call this meeting to order. This is the February 14th, 2024 meeting of the City of Pasco Hearing Examiner. My name is Andy Kottkamp, and I've been appointed by the City of Pasco to serve as a land use hearing examiner. My job is to render decisions and, in some cases, recommendations on various applications that are authorized to come before me. I will consider any testimony and evidence presented at tonight's hearing, as well as all the written materials that are already on file in order to make my decision. Now, this hearing process does have certain rules, but I will still try to conduct the meeting in a relaxed and informal manner. We still have a procedure we're going to use. For each item, staff will present its report to make whatever recommendations that it wishes to make. Next, the applicant or the applicant's representative is given an opportunity to present their testimony and evidence. The applicant does have the burden of proof to show compliance with all the applicable rules and regulations. Next, if somebody from the public came to testify, they'll be given that chance to do so. And then if there's any testimony in opposition to the project, I will give the applicant an opportunity to submit whatever rebuttal testimony they wish to make. Because the applicant has the burden of proof, the applicant gets the last opportunity to present testimony and evidence. If you are going to testify, I'll have you come on up to that podium on the right-hand side of the hearing room. I'll have you state your name and your address, and if you're going to give testimony, I'll swear you in as a witness. I'd ask that you keep your testimony relevant to the application that we're talking about and not to other issues beyond the scope of the proposal. If you've already submitted written comments, there's really no need for you to restate or to read those written comments into the record. They will already be in the record at that time. And again, for the public, what I'm most interested in is how the project does or does not comply with the applicable rules and regulations. So those are, that's what I'm looking at when I'm making my decision. Now, except as provided by the Pasco Municipal Code regarding requests for reconsideration, my decision on everything except the rezone will be final and conclusive unless they are appealed. Appeals are by means of what's called a land use petition action, and they have to be filed within 21 days of the date of the issuance of my decision, and if the appeal isn't timely filed, the appeal would be barred. On the rezone request, in that item, I make just a recommendation to City Council. City Council will make the final and appealable decision at a closed record hearing. So the hearing in front of City Council, you will not be able to testify or present evidence or submit written materials. That all has to be done today. And then the City Council will consider all the items in the record as well as my recommendation, and they will make the final appealable decision. Now, I have reviewed all 5 items on tonight's agenda. I don't have any interest in any of the properties or the proposals to be heard today, and I will be able to fairly and objectively consider each item. And then outside of receiving and reviewing the staff report for each item, along with application materials, public comments, agency comments, maps, photographs, other than essentially receiving and reviewing the entire planning staff file, I've not had any communication regarding any of the items that are on tonight's agenda. So with those representations, if you have any objection to me serving as the hearing examiner, you need to come forward and state so at this time. Okay, not hearing of any movement, I'll turn to the first item on today's agenda. This is application HE 2023-0006. And this is an application for a variance to increase the minimum height and allowed surface of 2 pole signs. This relates to property located within the city of Pasco that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. For the record, I will admit into the record at this time by this reference that staff report, all those attachments to the staff report, which included all the noticing documents, the application materials, the comments that have come through, the maps, there's photographs. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference and turn this matter over to staff for their presentation. Who's gonna present for staff?
It will be myself, Andrew Hattori, Planner 2.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Hattori, please present.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Yes, this is Project HE, standing for Hearing Examiner 2023-006, the CBC sign variance. The proposal is located on the Columbia Basin College site, address 2600 North 20th Avenue, along both the North 20th and West Argent Road frontages. The property is zoned R1 low density residential. PMC 17.15.010 allows pole signs at a rate of 1 per frontage with a maximum height of 15 feet and surface area of 40 square feet. The proposal site is unique given its size of approximately 133 acres and its use as a community college. The applicant has stated that the college is heavily reliant on traveling motorists and requires visibility and easy access for students and the community. There are 2 signs requested for variance. Sign 1 being a sign 25 feet in height with 180 square feet of surface area on the North 20th frontage, and sign 2, a sign 35 feet in height with 180 square feet of surface area on the West Argent frontage. Public notice of this hearing was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on January 31st, 2024. The site is currently developed with the Columbia Basin College, Community College. The use as a community college can be permitted in any zoning designation except I3 heavy industrial through a conditional use permit. If the property was zoned typical to the area, those being the C1 commercial and I1 light industrial zoning, the signage height and size would be permitted. In the C1 and I1 zoning, sites are allowed 1 pole sign per site. A rezone would not solve the need for the variance, as one would be needed for the quantity of signage in that case. With that said, staff recommends approval for a sign variance to allow 2 signs, one at 25 feet in height and 180 square feet of surface area, and one at 35 feet in height with 180 square feet of surface area, to be located at 2600 North 20th Avenue in Pasco, Washington.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I don't have any questions of staff. Is the applicant ready to proceed?
Yes, they are.
If they'd come up to the podium. Hello, who's going to be testifying today?
I can do that. My name is Elizabeth Bertner.
How do you spell your last name?
Burtner.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. And you are here as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the property owner and applicant today, is that correct?
Yes.
And have you had a chance to review the staff report?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any objection to any of the representations within the staff report?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'd like to get those questions out of the way early. What would you like to tell me about this project?
What I would like to say is that the reason we're asking for the larger sign is just the change in the demographic and how people are utilizing the space around us. So we needed to have better visibility. Our current sign is out of maintenance and breaking, so it stops working, so we needed to replace it. And as we looked around us and at visibility going down 20th for the increased visibility, we wanted to increase the sign and move it back a bit. And then the reason for the second signage is we have changed our main entrance due to the expansion of our campus. So we have a lot of people starting to utilize Argent to access our campus, and we want to make sure that we're providing information across both entrances.
And these signs will be for the use of the college only. There's not going to be any private advertising on any signs or anything along those lines?
We've never had any private advertising on our signs. Our signs are utilized. The only advertising that's done are for campus events and then partnerships like at the library if we have one of our speakers at a library.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think that covers it.
All right. Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming in tonight. We'll turn this over to the public. Did any member of the public come to testify on this matter? I do not see anybody moving. Is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, then what I'm going to do is I will close the public record portion of this hearing, and I will have my written decision made within the next 10 working days. All right, we'll turn to the second item on today's agenda. This is a preliminary plat request, given application number PP 2023-001. This is an application for a preliminary plat approval for the development of approximately 67.97 acres on property located within the city of Pasco, that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. Now, for the record, I will admit into the record the staff report, all of the attachments to the staff report, which included all of the application materials, the noticing documents, the agency comments, the public comments that have come through. There have been quite a few. I have received them and reviewed them. There's comments that came through today regarding a proposed alternate site plans. Those are part of the record. There's photographs, there's maps. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference and turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. As mentioned, this is project number PP, which stands for Preliminary Plat 2023-001 by P&R Construction, LLC, Paul Laurentiev, and this is for Magnolia Heights 408 lot subdivision. This property is located south of the FCID Canal between Crescent Road and Road 100, Broadmoor Boulevard. It has 10 parcels associated with it, and you can see them represented on the map here. All these parcels are zoned R3, which is medium density residential. And as mentioned before, the site contains approximately 67.97 acres of land. Applicant wishes to subdivide these 10 parcels into a 408 lot subdivision. As well, public notice was mailed out and published in the Tri-City Herald on January 26, 2024. And as mentioned before, staff has received several emails and letters from surrounding property owners. These have either been included in the packet or we brought copies of a submittal that we received today that are on the table as you come in. I don't know if there's any left, but you can share that with among you. The State Growth and Management Act requires urban growth and urban densities to occur within the urban growth boundaries. And this site is within both the urban growth boundary and the city limits. A portion of the site has been farmed with a pivot irrigation system. It is not considered a critical area. The site is vacant except for a wood grain silo at the southwest part of the property. In 2001, the site was annexed into the city under Ordinance 3462, and it was assigned to RS12, which is low density residential, and RS20, low density residential zoning, in conjunction with that annexation. In 2002, the site was rezoned by Ordinance 3540 from RS12 and RS20 to C1, which is retail business, and O, which is office, with a concomitant agreement. Excuse me. In 2022, the site was rezoned again, ordinance 4617 to R3, which is medium density residential. The comprehensive plan designates this site as medium density residential. And the medium density residential designation allows for R2, R3, R4, and RP, which is residential park zoning. The comprehensive plan medium density residential designation allows for single family dwellings, patio homes, townhouses, apartments, and condominiums. The comprehensive plan medium density residential designation specifies residential development densities of between 6 and 20 dwelling units per acre. And the proposed lots for this, let me bring up the site plan here. The proposed site has lots ranging from 2,839 square feet to 7,543 square feet, and the average lot size is approximately 3,830 square feet. With 408 lots on a 67.97 acre site, lot density would be approximately 6 dwelling units per acre, which is at the very low end of the allowed density for this area. Per Pasco Municipal Code 25.215.015, maximum gross density of any proposed development within any zoning district expressed as dwelling units per acre shall be no less than the corresponding minimum density expressed in this section, and no greater than the corresponding maximum density expressed in this section. So at 6 dwelling units per acre, the proposal is within the allowable density parameters of the city's comprehensive plan mandate. The proposed preliminary plat would have access from Crescent Road, Roads 104 and 105, and Road 100, or Broadmoor Boulevard, as well as dedicated internal streets. And you can see those proposed street patterns on the preliminary plat. Per the International Fire Code 503.1, fire apparatus access roads shall be provided and maintained in accordance with locally adopted street, road, and access standards. This means that there needs to be fire access not only at full build out, but also during the construction of each of the phases. Sunset Trail shall be required to extend to Crescent Road from Road 100. And municipal water is available via 12-inch lines in Road 100 and Crescent Drive, and a 16-inch line in Chapel Hill Boulevard. And these lines will be required to extend to and through the subdivision. As well, the proposed subdivision overlaps 2 city water pressure zones. And so that system will have to be designed to equalize those pressure zones and or accommodate those 2 different pressure zones. Sewer service is available via a 15-inch line along Crescent Road, 8-inch lines in both roads 104 and 105, and a 12-inch line in Road 100. This project shall be required to provide irrigation easements and install irrigation lines as part of the infrastructure improvements, and is required per the municipal code. And finally, the assignment of water rights is a requirement for subdivision approval per Pasco Municipal Code section 21.05.120 and section 3.35.150 and 160. If no water rights are available to transfer to the city, the property owner or developer must pay a water rights fee in lieu thereof. So those are the highlights of this report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. Just to confirm, all of the roads within the proposed subdivision will be public roads?
That is correct.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant ready to proceed? Good afternoon or evening, sir. I'll have you state your name and an address for me.
There you go. Good evening. My name is Paul Lavrentiev. I'm here on behalf of PNR Construction LLC. Address 105609 East Weiser Parkway, Kennewick, Washington 98338.
Okay, I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. And sir, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes,
All right, thank you very much. And sir, you indicated you're here as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the property owner and applicant, is that correct?
that is correct.
And as I asked the last applicant, did you have a chance to review the staff report?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any objection with any of the representations within the staff report?
I do not.
Have you had a chance to look at the proposed conditions of approval?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any objection with any of those?
No objections.
Okay, again, I'd like to get those things out of the way. Now, sir, what would you like to tell me about this project?
Okay, so we're working with our property owner on developing this subdivision. We have worked a very long time with the city staff. We've received quite a bit of comments from the nearby residents, and we have went back to the drawing board with this proposed subdivision many times to address issues that came up, whether it be traffic or density, lot sizes, street layout, and I did want to speak a bit on the subject of density. I know that that's quite a bit of a concern with the nearby residents. In the staff report, R3 zoning, that's the current zoning for that parcel, and the land use is medium density. So medium density specifically gives an allowable density of 6 to 20 units per acre. So from a strictly profit perspective, obviously 20 lots per acre would be the best route to take. Obviously, we are a for-profit company, but that is, we take a lot more things into account when we plan these these projects rather. We are a local home builder. We've been building homes here in the Tri-Cities for about 20 years. We live in these communities. In a lot of cases, we actually live in the communities that we develop. So we put a lot of thought and consideration when we design these. The fact that we went to the lowest density allowable for this project can also speak to that as well. Part of the planning that we did, we have seen some requests and concerns from the residents about having high density close up to the lower densities there on the south portion of the project. So we did our best to design this project to have lower density lots down south, and as we get closer to the commercial zoning, we go with higher density, just so in an effort to make that a proper, or as close to a proper transition between the two, but as well meet the requirements of the comprehensive plan. And finally, just to keep it short, I'd like to thank the staff for their hard work and effort as we went through all of this. And that would be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You may, if you wish, you may have an opportunity to come back after the public has testified, which is going to happen right now. Is there any member of the public that would like to testify on this matter? If so, just come on up. Have you state your name and address for me?
Certainly. My name is Brian Tungesvik. I live at 4202 Road 105.
All right, sir, I'll have you raise your right hand for me. Sir, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much. And sir, what would you like to tell me?
So I prepared a statement after hearing the opening arguments from the staff. It doesn't quite go in line, but I just prepared it. I would like to read it anyway. My name is Brian Tungesvik. I've lived in the city of Pasco and Wilson Meadows neighbor resident for the past 17 years. I stand before you this evening with an objection to the subdivision Magnolia Heights as it's currently proposed. Over the past 17 years, the Wilson Meadows neighborhood has been a great place to raise a family. We've all enjoyed the benefits of a quiet neighborhood, low traffic, low noise, low crime, space between neighbors, and a good overall quality of life. The current proposed neighborhood changes that dynamic. I've been against the rezoning ever since I learned about it in August 21. I personally feel that the residential growth is disproportionate to commercial growth on the west side of Pasco. With that being said, the city has moved forward and rezoned the land. I have been in communication with the city's planning department staff over the last year and a half. They've been very communicative and providing me updates along this process as it's being developed. My concern is that there would be a medium density land use designation that would, in a sense, alienate the existing residents and not offer any kind of flexibility with low density residential transitional lot sizing to the medium and then the eventual high density that's next to the commercial development. I find that concerning. I feel like these decisions are being made, from an office looking at a map and not taking into account the real neighbors and people that this is affecting. I'm concerned because my property taxes continue to climb, and now I'm going to have more neighbors behind me than are currently beside or in front of me. I've come to you in opposition tonight, but I also have come with alternative solutions, reasonable alternative solutions. I ask that you please consider and review the alternative concepts that I've provided that are included in this packet. I feel like these are minimal changes to the overall design, the overall number of lots, and it provides a aesthetically pleasing transition between the existing low density residential to the pending higher density residential. It also provides a blend of future planning with current need while not alienating or disenfranchising the existing property owner. I feel like this is a solution that every party involved comes away with a win. And then as I conclude, I would just ask you to consider, if you lived in my house, would you approve this concept as designed? So thank you for your time.
Sir, thank you very much for your testimony tonight and your participation in writing. Next, who else would like to testify?
Hello, my name is Jeff Grimes. I live on 104.15 Pine Court, which is right on Road 105.
Sir, I'm going to have you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. And I have read your written materials as well, and what else would you like to tell me?
Well, my written materials, I'm not sure if you have any for this particular project, but as you know, I've been opposed to this since the beginning when we did the rezone hearing a few years ago, or last year, I guess it was. But obviously, a lot of the neighbors here, I'm in support of Brian or Mr. Tungesvik's statement. I also made another statement since I didn't send one in for this proposal. I think that unfortunately we lost the rezone question, and the zone that is in now, R3, I mean, it sounds all great having 6 slots instead of 20, but currently right now I live on 105, or my backyard is right up against this proposal, and between 105 and 104 there's only 4 lots. Under this new plan there's either 7 or 8 lots, so that means my backyard will share possibly 3 or 4 new lots. So going from 0 to 3 or 4 is a significant change, and I would like to see more of a similar size lots that we have now for all of our neighbors, not just mine. I'm not here just to speak for myself, but that's just one of my concerns. Is development is what it is. Growth is inevitable. We can't fix that. Cities are growing, but especially with all of the growth in the Harris area, which I know we're not here to talk about those, but that's already been approved, and there's another 1 or 2 subdivisions north of that are being developed. Not to mention the hundreds of apartment buildings that are going up right now. in that area. And anyway, I completely screwed up my statement by saying some of it already, but I'll skip through, try to get some of it covered, which I haven't already said. But even before the construction of the highway project that's going on right now at 182 near Road 100, we had major traffic problems, and it's tripled in severity since the construction. And it's going to be even worse when it's all finished. This roundabout's going to be a nightmare. But you add another 1,000 vehicles from this new neighborhood to the area with very few outlets for us. Like right now, we're landlocked. I had to come down Court Street to come here tonight because the traffic was so backed up on Road 100. All hours of the day, I could stand in my kitchen and look out the back door and see 25 to 35 vehicles backed up waiting to get at the Chapel Hill stoplight. Now, with that being said, a lot of us have to use, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but parallel with, or perpendicular to Road 100 is Maple, Willow, Argent, and then Court Street. We have to use one of those avenues to get out to Road 100. And to get out from Maple or Willow onto Road 100, even now with a stoplight there, can be a pain. But you put a roundabout in there, there's going to be nonstop flow. So that means there will be no stoppage of traffic. And there's no room for stoplights on Road 100. I looked through some of the stuff that was in the packet, and one of the list of questions on the preliminary development meeting application, one of the answers to a question regarding daily vehicle trips upon completion, the answer was 3,672 trips per day, 296 in the morning peak hours, and 389 in the afternoon peak hours. And I don't know where that number comes from or how they dreamed it up, but I think that's a very low number. 3,600 trips after you put another 400 homes in that's a very low number. You're probably getting that now with the current housing situation. Again, I'm not saying don't build houses, but I think we could, those of us that live in the neighborhood, we've been there for long enough that we have to absorb we have to suffer through growth, but going from 0 homes behind my house to 3 or 4 who could be multifamily homes, could be rental properties, could be, who knows what's going on down the road. But, looking at the tiny map that was sent to us, you can barely read it, it's so small. Right behind, I'm sorry. I also personally, through conversation with friends of mine, I know 2 separate people that are investors. One of them's a property management company owner, and the other one is a very well-off real estate person, and they're both looking forward to getting rental properties, not only in our area, but on the north side of the highway also. And I can't say, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that all renters are the same or created equal, because they're not. But I don't think anybody in this room would like to see 4 rental properties show up in the back of their house within the next 5 or 6 years. I'm not only an upset and disappointed taxpayer, I'm not only here to be selfish and complain about personal concerns. I'd like to invite anybody on the panel, and you, Mr. Examiner, are welcome to come to my house and see what we're talking about. Drive around the neighborhood and see what we're talking about with traffic concerns. The safety of the community is at risk, and it's a real risk, not a possibility. It's a reality. Unless you live in the area, any of these comments may sound like just a grumpy old guy that doesn't want to see change. But the reality is, though, although it may be a small amount of my motivation, the rest of it is based on probability, and that any person with common sense could see if it wasn't just on a piece of paper waiting for a rubber stamp on the desk. I'd like for you to please reconsider the layout of the proposed plat for better options for traffic flow and consideration for the residents that's been there a long time. More narrow streets, more cars on the narrow roads, more cars in an already overcrowded area points towards more risk. And my final thought is this: when the proposal for the rezone was brought to the vote at the city council meeting, there were only 2 votes against it. And both councilmen both council members requested, or at least acknowledged, that more homework should be done before moving forward to change the zone designation. Of course, it failed. The rest of the council voted for this change, simply stating that it was a recommendation of the planner. No disrespect to you, Mr. Planner, I'm just trying to get our voices heard. I would assume that the two people that voted against it are most likely residents of the area and are frequently using the area and have firsthand knowledge of what our real situation is. It is unfortunate that things like this get approved without enough attention, and I would like to ask for you to consider other options that may be more mutually beneficial to the city and to the current residents, and take more time for discussion before voting on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grimes. Would anybody else like to testify on this matter?
Go ahead.
I like that one.
This work?
The light works for me.
Okay, I can't pull it closer, so.
That's fine.
Okay.
And, you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your name, sir?
My name is Trinidad Perez, and I live in 4206 Road 105, right there on Wilson Meadows houses.
Sure.
we-
What was your first name again?
Trinidad is
Trinidad,
Trinidad.
All right. I'm going to have you raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Mr. Perez, what would you like to tell me?
Yes, I've been living in the neighborhood for 17, going on 18 years. Basically, the neighborhood is being really what we were looking for, the right place to live to raise a family, and to be kind of having no problems at all, with the city or with the neighbors and anything like that. No traffic right now. It's couple of things that are being there is like there's only like one way out, right, as is right now, and the traffic accumulates really bad right there in 100. And just imagine, when you build the next 600, 500 homes in that spot, so it's going to be really crowded, and it's going to be a lot of trouble for us. But here is more or less what we all concerned. The other thing is basically the history of what's going on in the city or Tri-Cities. For example, there's been real estate issues with neighborhoods, where you build small houses versus larger homes. Normally in the real estate business, the small houses gain a lot more percentage on the dollar than the big houses. So therefore, the bigger residents, they lose a little bit, 10 cents, 20 cents, or some percentage to the dollar in compared to the smaller homes. In the case of us, since we're sitting on a lot that has nobody living on behind the yard and building 2 or 3 homes behind us, basically what's going to happen is exactly what the history has been done to properties. Therefore, we thinking that this project should have equal homes built behind us, or somehow probably build less homes than what you guys have planned to have in there. Another issue that it comes along with that, the person that spoke first here, he mentioned that there's irrigation system, everything is in place. Well, not exactly. When you live in there, that's when you really understand what's going on. For example, last year, through the whole year, we got low pressure water on the irrigation for our gardens and to keep the places nice. So it's not really exactly true, that there's no problems with the irrigation water. It does really impact us as soon as you build all these homes, basically it's going to be worse than what it is right now. Another thing, when you open those streets to the next homes, basically you're going to have a running street, open street, so people go from this neighbor to the next neighbor, and we don't mind that, as long because they have the right to do that. But what I'm saying is it converts into a really through traffic and kind of putting in a dangerous or smaller kids and that sort of thing. And for what I'm seeing in this project, I don't see nothing that you guys actually are having planned to increase our neighborhood. So therefore, basically, you creating some sort of not really acceptable project for us, that we already exist in there. Basically, the other issues coming along, like building a small units in there. I hear that they're planning to put 20 lots on an acre. Who can live on a small lots like that on an acre? Probably the person that is talking about that building that, he lives in a large house and he's not sitting on a small house like that. So he doesn't know how it's likely to live on 4 walls, really small lots like that. So he needs to think about it, because basically that's an issue probably, because it creates more people, more crowd in the neighborhood, and therefore the traffic also will increase on the side. 100, our neighbors or wherever they want to go. Streets are that, that's what they are for. So creating these problems, for the neighborhood where we've been living for a while, is kind of messed up. There's also some other issues along with it. For example, the taxes that we pay right now, they increasingly every single year, and we don't mind on that, because we're supposed to pay taxes on properties. But basically, we're building all these things here, all these new homes and apartments or whatever. It will create more funds for the city, it's true, but at the same time, you're messing up our values on our properties. So I would like to say that you should consider changing the project a little bit and build equal homes to what we have. I'm not saying probably through the entire project, but at least to surround whatever exists right now. I don't like to have 3 or 4 neighbors on back of me. Definitely no. It's something that it shouldn't happen. And the reason I actually choose that property was because I like the way it was, and I was hoping that stay. Not the way it is. I believe in development, but at the same time, I don't think we should have this amount of homes behind us.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank
today.
you.
Does anybody else wish to testify on this matter? Hello.
Hi,
And your name and address, please?
my name is Andrea Munoz and I live on 4200 Road 100.
Okay, I didn't quite understand the name. What was your first name?
Andrea Munoz,
And how do you spell your last name?
Munoz.
All right, that's what I have. Great. Would you raise your right hand for me? And do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
I swear truth.
All right, what would you like to tell me?
I've lived on this property for going on 12 years now. And the reason why we purchased this property was because of where it was located, sense of community, starting a family, and all of those things were great up until I saw this proposal. So this community is going to bring directly 5 homes on a stretch of less than an acre behind my yard. As it is right now, I have had to have many conversations with the Pasco School District just to have busing to my home because of my children. It wasn't available, finally got it. But now, with just the traffic we have right now, I physically have to stand there every morning to make sure my kids can get on and off the bus safely because of the amount of traffic. I can only imagine what all of this is going to do to that area. Thankfully, I work from home, but for most of my neighbors that don't get that privilege, that have to be out on the streets, even what would be considered a 10 to 15 minute commute just to the other side of Sandifer is now about a 30-minute, and that's just with the existing area. So my concerns is the amount of traffic that this is going to bring, the amount of change that is also bringing to the community. More people in our area means the schools are having to change. Kids are having to be shifted from where they're assigned to because of the zoning. So it's not ideal to bring in this many homes directly to the area. My parcel in particular, I am now going to have 5 homes behind my home. I'm currently in the process of an addition remodel on my property, and it's been nearly 8 months going back and forth with permits and with the city on what I can do. I have so much red tape on the property because irrigation easements. Last spring, I heard my neighbor mention that he didn't have any pressure for irrigation. Part of the reason was there was a main leak on my property. The irrigation district had to come and change it. And I do know that they rerouted irrigation lines directly behind my property. I don't know how that's recorded or how that affects this, but because of those irrigation easements, I'm only limited to a certain amount of square footage that I could add. As a homeowner, that's very frustrating when you know that you have so much red tape for your own parcel, yet you see a development like this going in directly in your backyard. So there's many things that as taxpayers that this impacts, not only me, I'm not trying to just be selfish on my particular lot, but also the area. I've heard tonight that many people have chosen to come to this area because of the sense of community. And with this many properties coming behind our area, I do have a fear of what the community is going to turn into. Are these going to be rental homes? Are these going to be family homes? Like I said, it impacts not just us as adults, it also impacts our kids. The sense of community that they have, their schooling, all of that, and also the traffic. So I would like the city to reconsider this. I wish I would have been more knowledgeable when it came to all the proposals. I know this has been going on for a year now with other things going on. I wasn't able to educate myself on this, but I really truly hope that the people that are making these decisions take all this into consideration and how this is affecting the livelihood of all the residents of this area. It's easy to see this map and say, okay, well, it looks like it works. It's 6 houses under, it's way below the proposal. But once you're out there physically and you see for yourself how congested this area already is, and this is because this hasn't even begun, how this is going to impact, I would like some reconsideration before something like this is decided on.
Thank you very much for coming in, Ms. Muniz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did anybody else wish to offer any testimony on this matter? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is
Your
Wendy
name and address,
Thompson.
please?
Pardon me?
Your name and address, please.
My name is Wendy Thompson. I live at 10305 Maple Drive, and I have lived at my residence for 39 years.
Okay, I need to have you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, and what would you like to tell me?
But first of all, I was surprised by the letter, receiving it as an adjacent property owner. I came back from vacation and saw it in my mail, so I'm not prepared for this, but I would like to take the opportunity to object to what's proposed in the plat map here. A year ago, I guess it was in 2022, I attended. It was a different map that we were shown. And the demographics with the replat has changed behind my property, such that where there were half-acre lots, they now are they look more like very small lots. I'm not sure the acreage, but they've gone from 14 lots to maybe 40. And I was disappointed. So in this, I've watched what's been going on the past year or so with the traffic and the infrastructure, everything voiced here by the people who have provided their objections, I agree with. The irrigation has been a problem. And as you know, maybe I'm a bit selfish because I've lived at this place. I was there before a lot of this development. And as such, chose the location because of the demographics and the neighborhood and the safety and the ability to move safely in the neighborhood. Right now, the traffic on Road 100, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but the introduction of these increased properties and more people on this property, the plats, I cannot see how our safety can be addressed satisfactorily with the traffic flow and a number of other things. The property values from the city of Pasco, I cannot believe how they've been going up over the past several years. And in my opinion, my property values, I think, will go down. I don't have a lot more to say. I haven't had time to look into rules and regulations, so I'm not prepared for this, but I appreciate the time this evening, and I am very concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking time to come tonight. Would anybody else like to offer any testimony on this matter tonight? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Gildardo Ramirez, 4116 Road 100.
What was your first name, sir? I didn't catch that.
Gildardo Ramirez, spelled Jildardo.
All right, sir, I'll have you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And what would you like to tell me?
Well, I'm with all the neighbors. I've been there for 15 years now. And this map, I think, is the second map. So they keep on changing their maps. And now I'm going to have like 5 homes behind my home, right behind my shop or whatever. I know the area is going to grow, but I just don't seem like all the neighbors, our property values are just going to go down. And I don't know that they're taking us in consideration with the development. And then the traffic, it's horrible, and it's not going to get any better. There's no more outlets to the freeway. And, well, more so the property value is what I'm concerned about, because I've been there for 15 years, and I don't think it's fair that it's going to go down, you know. And then the neighborhood's been very safe, and with all that many people coming in, you know, there's going to be more patrols or something in the area or something. So that's just a little bit that I have to say. And then the zoning is, everybody on Road 100, the zones is the same as behind us? That the slight residential, whatever. I'm not really prepared for this because I don't do this, but that was my concern from the get-go, is that, so with Mrs. Munoz, we're right in the front, and like the neighbors, we all have big properties, and it just seems like they're gonna cram all these people in there, or homes or whatever. So I object to it because I think they need to figure it out, make it so that our property value doesn't go down because they want to put 5 homes where we have 1. You know, So that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Was there anybody else who wished to offer any testimony on this matter tonight? Good evening.
My name is Sean Depperding. I live at 4500 Crescent Road. I don't know if a lot of people.
Just a second, just a second, sorry. How do you spell your last name?
Defferding.
And Sean is spelled how?
SHAWN.
Okay, I got that right. All right, now I'll have you raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
Yes.
All right, now, what would you like to tell me?
Well, I have lived at 4500 Crescent Road for the last 19 years. I don't know if a lot of people that aren't used to this realize, but right now Crescent Road does not go through. So therefore, they're talking about traffic and everything, and it is going to be a nightmare because you open that up and it's just going to be crazy too. It's gotten so bad that the irrigation district, which the back of my lot goes up against next to the freeway, they have had to put up a road closed sign. They've had to put up a gate across there with a padlock on it that we have witnessed it being destroyed at night so people could just drive through and go through there. They've had to put up cameras again this week because of people going through and destroying the lock on the gate just so they could drive through. So it's just going to be a nightmare on traffic as far as for the irrigation. It was so bad last summer that I couldn't even put in new grass or sod because I never knew whether I was going to have enough water to water it with or not. And I just really wish that this would be given a lot more consideration and not just passed through.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. Was there anybody else who wished to offer any public testimony on this matter? All right, not seeing any movement. Is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, is there anything further from the applicant?
So I wanted to take some time and clarify some of the things that were brought up by the residents nearby.
Just your name again for the record. You're still under oath, but let's just make sure in case this is appealed, the judge knows who's talking.
It's my name is Paul Lavrentiev, and I'm here on the behalf of the applicant PNR Construction LLC.
All right, and what would you like to tell me in rebuttal?
So as far as traffic goes, in the hearing packet, it kind of goes down. We had a traffic impact study done by an engineer, third-party engineer that was hired and again was reviewed by the city's traffic engineers. And they came back, gave us mitigation measures that we were to complete as to mitigate the impact from the subdivision. Kind of a brief look on here, we'd be putting over $300,000 towards traffic improvements. Some of them we would be paying towards our portion towards larger projects in the immediate area, and some of the smaller projects like right turn lanes and traffic signal changes we would be responsible to coordinate. As far as irrigation systems go and really all utilities, it goes with every subdivision. We would have to do improvements to the existing infrastructure. I'm not sure what exactly it would do to the existing irrigation, if it will necessarily improve the existing irrigation at the existing homes, but definitely wouldn't make it worse. we would be doing improvements to the existing infrastructure to be able to support this subdivision. And then as far as the higher density, the townhomes, closer to the north there, closer to the high density and commercial zoning at the project, just in general, our company, we don't really cater to investors. We do have sometimes investors will purchase one or two homes, but generally speaking, a single family home is not a very smart investment as far as putting renters in. Multifamily would be the way to go with that. We are not building any multifamily in this project. All of the homes, including the townhomes, they are single family homes. The townhomes are single family attached versus to the south of the project is single family detached homes, but each home is a single family home for sale individually on separate parcels. And as far as the map changing, it was many times, definitely more than 2 or 3 times. Again, as we were going back and forth with the staff, there's different issues that came up, the road layout, to make sure that there was safe ways to get in and out of the subdivision, connectivity between Crescent Road and Road 100. So that changed the layout quite a bit. Originally, we did have half-acre lots down at the south, and at one point, actually, our very first submittals had 1-acre lots. Once density rules came into play into the planning part of the subdivision, we had to increase the number to meet those requirements. And once the requirement for the park inside the subdivision came in, that bumped us back out of the below the 6 lots per acre, so we were forced to increase the lots again. So that kind of explains the several times that the map has changed. So, and then as far as Crescent Road, we would be required to improve Crescent Road, do all the improvements on our side. I think it's 3/4 of the road from our side we improved, and that's curb, gutter, sidewalks, street lights, possibly landscaping. I don't quite recall, but the street lights, that would increase security and safety in the area. So you don't necessarily, it would detour people from coming out and breaking things at night, because I mean that's the whole goal with street lights. So I just wanted to come in and kind of clarify some of the questions that came up. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming in tonight. All right, everyone, with that, what I'm going to do is I am going to close the public record portion of the hearing on this matter as well, and I will have a written decision made within the next 10 working days. We do have 3 more other items on today's agenda. I'll turn to the next item on today's agenda. This is a rezone application, given application number 2023-015. And this is an application for a rezone of property from R3 with a concomitant agreement to simply an R3 medium density residential zone. This relates to property located within the city of Pasco that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in all those application materials. For the record, I will admit into the record that staff report, all the application materials, all the noticing documents, all the comments that have come through. There's land use and comprehensive plan maps. There's the old ordinance 4278 that was submitted. I'm going to admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference, and turn this matter over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. This is Project Z 2023-015, Valley View R3 Medium Density Residential with Concomitant Agreement to R3 Medium Density Residential. The proposal is located on parcel 117-430-143, generally located on the south side of Aintree Drive between Aintree Lane and Ladbrook Lane. The property is currently zoned R3 medium density residential with a concomitant agreement. A concomitant agreement is an agreement recorded against the title of a parcel of land which binds a property owner to certain terms and conditions in exchange for approval. The purpose of the rezone is to remove the concomitant agreement. The underlying zoning would not change. The subject parcel is approximately 4.64 acres in size. The existing concomitant agreement restricts the development style of the property, including things such as the heights of buildings and vegetation and requirements for things such as a homeowners association. Public notice of this hearing was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on January 31st, 2024. This parcel was annexed into the city of Pasco from Franklin County under Ordinance 2388 in 1981 and assigned the RT Residential Transition Zoning designation. The site was subsequently rezoned to R1 Low Density Residential in 2013 via Ordinance 4113, and further rezoned to R3 Medium Density Residential with a concomitant agreement in 2015 under Ordinance 4278. Staff would like to note that comments from nearby properties were received regarding opposition and concerns over development standards and building height. The underlying land use designation of the site, medium density residential, is designated for a variety of residential housing at a density of 6 to 20 dwelling units per acre. The proposal would not change that density. The proposed rezone does not include a project action. It is anticipated that should the rezone be approved, a subsequent development project may be submitted for review. This review would include requirements for the impacts it has on the level of service for parks, transportation, etc. Any and all development proposals would additionally be required to adhere to Pasco municipal codes and standards, including provisions such as connectivity and residential design standards. Further, any subsequent development submittals will be required to undergo review through the State Environmental Policy Act, otherwise known as SEPA, review, which would place mitigating requirements to ensure impacts to the built and natural environment are accounted for. With that being said, staff recommends that parcel 117-430-143 be rezoned from R3 medium density residential with concomitant agreement to R3 medium density residential.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hattori. Is the applicant ready to proceed? Is the applicant present?
The applicant is not present.
Was the applicant given notice of the date, place, and time of the hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We'll turn to the public then. Did any member of the public come to testify on this matter?
Good evening, sir. My name is Kaylin Karlberg. That is spelled Kaylin, K-A-L-Y-N. Last name Karlberg, K-A-R-L-B-E-R-G. I reside at 6614 Aintree Drive in Pasco.
All right, I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. And do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
So,
So again, we're not talking about any underlying project action. We're just talking about this proposed rezone, just to set the record straight. So what would you like to tell me?
I was part of the initial homeowners that fought the rezoning to R3, and we were allotted those agreements to keep the nature of that area very similar to the R1 just to the north of them. I live on Aintree, and on the other side of Aintree is an apartment complex. When I bought the home understanding the land that was behind my house was R1. I also paid a premium for a view lot, and that's the reason why some of these restriction came on with the building heights, was that they would not take away our view. We have since had a 4-story apartment complex that was built on Argent that just keeps the view just barely. But if they're allowed to increase the height right behind my property, I will lose my view, which I paid a premium for, with the understanding that the land behind me was R1. Not to mention, if they're allowed to change the zoning, they could change the entrance to that area. Right now, traffic on Aintree has become very bad. We get the overflow from the apartment complex on Aintree, and now they have opened a marijuana shop on Road 68, but nobody can turn in for Road 68, so everybody uses Aintree to come in the back way. Traffic has become horrible. So we definitely do not want them to be able to have access to Aintree Drive for parking issues. So we would like to have the restrictions that we'll place in front of them to remain in fact. If modifications we're okay with, the style of the housing, in the color codes that were some of that was put into place, we're okay for modifications of that, but the heights, we definitely do not want them to have that restriction lifted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Just a
My
second, I'm writing some notes.
Okay.
All right, your name and address, please?
Maria Prieto, Prieto, Prieto. I live on 3208 Lad Broke Lane. This property that we are speaking about is,
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that any testimony you give today will be the truth?
yes.
All right, now what would you like to tell me?
Well, I have been living in this property for 9.5 years now, and just as Mrs. Carlberg has been stating that the traffic has definitely increased since then, but my concern also is that this land is going to impact my view as well. Not only that, that my other concerns is the crime that we've seen increase just where it's at. Having the height of the buildings change, that definitely takes all of my view. The size, the style, all of that impacts everything, and the concerns is how is that going to impact that and the property of value of my home and the privacy that we would feel within my neighborhood. Right now it's a nice quiet neighborhood, but not having the stipulations in regards to what was initially stated, that the agreement has all these stipulations to be able to have that. That's a huge concern. I definitely oppose that. I would not be a very happy homeowner knowing that all of that is happening, and just the traffic in itself. I can't even leave my home knowing that all of this traffic through Road 68 is the way it is, and having the access changing and having these possible landowner have access somewhere else and through Aintree would definitely impact my access to my property. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming out tonight. Is there anybody else who wishes to offer any testimony on this matter? Okay, not seeing any more. Is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, then what I'm going to do is I will close the public record portion of the hearing on this matter. I will have my recommendation to City Council made within the next 10 working days. We'll now on to the fourth item on today's agenda. This is a special permit application, given application number SP 2013-013. This is an application by the Pasco School District for the construction of a career and college academy high school in the C3 zoning district. This is on property located within the city of Pasco that is more specifically described in the staff report as well as in the application materials. Now, for the record, I will admit into the record that staff report, all the application materials that have come through, all of the noticing documents, the expert witness reports, the comments that have come through. There's maps and drawings and photographs. I'll admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference and turn this matter over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Again, for the benefit of the listening public, this is item number SP, which stands for Special Permit 2023-013, the Pasco School District, care of Amanda Whitehead from Knudsen Engineering. This is the Pasco School District Career and College Academy, Orion High School, being developed in a C3 zoning district. And this is located on lots 13 through 24 of block 36 and all of blocks 20, 21, 37, and 38 of Frey's addition to Pasco, located northeast of the intersection of North Utah Avenue and East Salt Lake Street. This is parcel 113-474050. As mentioned above, this property is zoned C3 and it contains approximately 9.49 acres of land. Applicant is proposing to construct a career and technical education focused facility. This program is designed to allow every student to graduate with a credential or industry certification and hands-on experience, which could help students move into either a career or an educational path beyond high school. Notice of this public hearing was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the subject property and the newspapers on October 16, 2023, and again on 26th of January 2024. An archaeological survey found no cultural resources on the site. There are 3 schools very close by. There's Ochoa Middle School, which is about 373 feet northeast of the site, which you can see on the overhead photograph there. Whittier Elementary is about a quarter mile south of the site via North Weehee Avenue, and then Marie Curie STEM Elementary is also a quarter mile to the south, just adjacent to Whittier. Highland Park is approximately a third of a mile away, and Kurtzman and Volunteer Park are 0.8 and 0.9 miles from the site respectively. The nearest Ben Franklin Transit stop is approximately 400 feet away. The site was annexed into the city in 1963 under Ordinance 1078 and was assigned R1 zoning sometime between 1963 and 1993. And then it was rezoned from R1 to C3 in 1993 via Ordinance 2924. Nevada, Pueblo, and Wyoming streets and associated alleys were vacated between 1986 and 2012 under Ordinances 2601, 3761, and 4042. Pasco's population has more than doubled from 32,066 at the 2000 census to 77,108 at the 2020 census. And the 2023 OFM population estimate for the city of Pasco was 81,280 people. The Pasco School District serves over 19,000 students across 17 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, and 4 high schools. This particular project will involve a 75,000 square foot 2-story high school building with 2 outbuildings, parking lots, driveways, and walkways, landscaping and recreational space. I'm just going to bring that up on the screen here. And a future building expansion of up to 30 feet. Let's see, 30 feet off the eastern building wing. No future portables are planned for this site. The proposed high school will not include an auditorium, gymnasium, or any sporting fields or events. The proposed high school, it's going to be somewhat like the Delta High School, but it will only serve the Pasco School District. The proposed high school will be open for classes from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and students will be primarily bused from other high schools in the district to this location. Some students will drive to the site for check-in at staggered hours during the day from on-the-job training programs. The building will house up to 600 students, grades 9 through 12, and the future expansion will house approximately 100 additional students. The plan provides 222 parking stalls, which is actually over the required number for both of these phases. The requirements for phase 1 would be 135 parking stalls, and for phase would be 158. So those numbers are both under the proposed number of parking stalls. There will be 119 student parking spaces, 63 staff parking spaces, and 40 visitor spaces. And 214 of those spaces will be standard, and 5 will be accessible, and 3 will be van accessible. 8 bus stalls shall also be provided, and the proposed development will have separate bus lanes and student drop-off lanes as well. Student parking will be accessed from Superior Street. Staff will access from Utah Avenue, and the bus lanes will come out of Superior Street. Visitor and drop-off parking will access Salt Lake Street. I'm sorry about that. Full frontage improvements will be constructed along East Salt Lake Street, North Utah Avenue, and East Superior Street, including road widening, curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Sidewalks are required along all property frontages, and they're required to connect to existing sidewalks on Shepherd Street to the east and Utah Avenue to the north. Shepherd Street sidewalk will give pedestrian access to the neighborhood to the east and to the south. There are already existing sidewalks to the neighborhood to the west. Approximately 100 feet of sidewalk along the north side of Salt Lake Street is missing. An applicant will be required to construct the missing sidewalk on the north side of Salt Lake Street to the west of Utah Avenue. Sidewalks from the site will ultimately need to connect to Oregon Avenue. And Oregon Avenue has full sidewalk improvements connect to the rest of the city to the west. There are no designated bike paths or bike lanes in East Pasco north of East Lewis Street. The project will be designed to meet all city requirements, including required buffers and solid screen requirements adjacent to the residential properties. As far as lighting goes, the building will have both internal and external lighting at entries and selected areas. Yard lighting will be along the driveways, sidewalks, and parking areas. New external lighting would be designed to reduce the horizontal dispersion of light to adjacent off-site properties. And site lighting shall be minimized during non-use hours to that required for safety purposes. Exterior and interior lighting will be turned off during non-use hours with occupancy sensors and energy management systems. The project is anticipated to generate 1,513 vehicle trips during the typical weekday, including 385 during the AM peak hour, 84 during the PM peak hour, and 234 during the afternoon peak hour. It is anticipated that the majority of trips will enter the study area from Oregon Avenue to the north, accessing I-182, also known as US 12. The school district will pay traffic impact fees as determined by the city of Pasco. So, staff recommends, based on the findings of fact and conclusions herein, that a special permit be approved for the Pasco School District Career and College Academy, Orion High School, in a C3 zoning district located at lots 13 through 24, inclusive block 36 and all of block 20, 21, 37, and 38. of Ray's addition to Pasco. And that is the highlights of our report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. I appreciate that. Is the applicant ready to proceed? Good evening, sir. I'll have you state your name and an address for me, please.
Yes, my name is Brandon Wilm, W-I-L-M, and I'm at 100425 Canyon View Drive in Kennewick.
All right, sir, I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, I have a few questions for you to start with. You're here, I assume, as an agent authorized to appear and speak on behalf of the Pasco School District?
That is correct.
And have you had a chance to review the staff report?
I have.
Do you have any disagreement with any of the representations within the staff report?
Nope.
You had a chance to look at those proposed conditions of approval?
Yes, I have.
And do you have any objection to any of those?
No.
All right. Got that out of the way. What would you like to tell me about this project, sir?
Yes, so I'll keep it brief. I am the architect on the project and I'm working with Pasco School District. As Mr. Adams summarized, this is a choice high school. It is designed for 600 students, roughly 75,000 square feet, with the future expansion possibility if the program and success takes off for Pasco School District. This project is obviously, as a school, has to go through the special permit process to be approved in the city of Pasco, so that is why we are here. And hopefully we will be out to bid in a month or two with construction starting in May, with the goal of occupying the building in August of 2025. And what was also summarized is this is not a comprehensive high school. This is a choice high school. It doesn't have varsity sports. It doesn't have marching band. And so this is project-based learning and career and college focused.
So one of the things, a clarification or just to help me out here, will they still be attending other Pasco high schools, but this coming here for classes, or will this be their 6-hour-a-day school?
Good question. This will be their 6-hour-a-day school, and there will be some physical education on campus. But if you want to play football or you want to be in a marching band, this will not be the high school that you select.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add about this, sir?
Nope, nothing further.
All right, thank you very much for coming in today. We'll turn this over to the public. Was there any member of the public that came to testify on this matter? All right, not seeing any movement. Is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Wilm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the public record portion of this hearing, and I will have a written decision made within the next 10 working days. We do have one last item on today's agenda. This is also a special permit application, given application number 2023-020. And this is an application for a project within the city of Pasco. It's for a ground floor commercial project with 4 stories above it with residential use. They're asking for increased height as a part of the special permit, and also parking on the residentially zoned areas on the site. This project is located again in the city of Pasco on property that's more specifically described in the staff report as well as in all those application materials. And for the record, I will admit into the record the staff report, all those application materials, all the noticing documents that have come through. There's maps, zoning maps, comp plan maps, there's aerial photographs, there's site photographs. There are drawings and renderings of the proposed buildings. I'm going to admit all those items. Indeed, I will admit the entire planning staff file into the record at this time by this reference and turn this over to staff for their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. This is application SP standing for special permit 2023-020, Ramgar Commons. The proposal is located at 4109 West Court Street, parcel number 119154120. The property is split zoned, with the northern half being R1 low density residential and the southern half being C1 retail business district. The proposed mixed-use building and associated height increase are located on the C1 portion of the lot, with the parking lot extending into the R1 area. The site is approximately 2.45 acres in size. The applicant has proposed to construct a mixed-use building containing commercial uses on the main floor and residential units in the levels above. The commercial uses are limited to those contained in the C1 zoning code's permitted uses. The proposal also seeks to increase the maximum height of the building from 35 feet to 61 feet to accommodate 4 stories of residences, totaling 32 units. A portion of the parking area designated to serve the building extends onto the R1 low-density residential area of the lot. Public notice of this hearing was sent to property owners within 300 feet of the property and posted in the Tri-City Herald on January 31st, 2024. The site is currently developed with a non-conforming residential structure. Mixed residential and commercial uses in the C1 zone containing a main floor of C1 uses with residential units above may be permitted through the special permit process per PMC 2585-0401. A mitigated determination of non-significance was issued on January 4th, 2024 for the proposal, containing mitigations requiring access easements for properties along the northern shared boundary line, landscaping buffers, a lighting plan, conditions for the location of disposal services, and an inadvertent discovery protocol in the instance that archaeological resources are found during construction. With that being said, staff recommends approval of a special permit for the construction of a mixed-use building with ground floor commercial, an increase in maximum height in the C1 zone from 35 to 61 feet, and location of off-site parking on residentially zoned land at 4109 West Court Street with the conditions contained in the February 14th, 2024 staff report.
So I just want to make sure, you indicated a couple of times the parking is going to be off-site, but my understanding was it's going to be part of the same parcel, but just on the portion of the parcel that's zoned residential. It's not going to be across the street or down the block. Is it on the parcel or is it down the street?
It is on the parcel. I apologize for the terminology.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that. And there is sufficient parking proposed so that there will be no need for any street parking or off-street or off-site parking. Is that correct?
That's correct. Even with the highest intensity uses allowed in the C1 permitted uses, parking is adequate.
All right. Thank you very much. Turn now to the applicant. Is the applicant ready to proceed? Good evening, sir. I'll have you state your name and address for me.
My name is Jose Ramirez, and the address is 4003 to Zion Drive in Pasco, Washington.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Now, what would you like to tell me, sir? Oh, wait, I'll first start with this. Are you the agent of the property owner and applicant?
I am.
All right, have you had a chance to review the staff report?
I did.
Do you have any objection to anything, any of the representations with the staff report?
I do not.
Have you had a chance to look at the proposed conditions of approval?
Yes, I did.
Any objection with any of those?
No, sir.
Okay, now what would you like to tell me about the project?
First of all, thank you for taking the time. And we met with the city since we bought this property to understand the zoning of the parcel. And as they mentioned in the beginning, the zoning is basically one parcel that splits between residential and commercial. And so when we first bought the property, we were trying to figure out what would be best for the location, whether it was residential or commercial or a mixed use. Then we learned about the mixed use, and we thought that was, in a financial manner, it was the best way to approach the property and the way it was laid out in regards to the zoning. We met with the city a few times to figure out what would be the best way to grant the access, to improve the streets, and to work out a plan for this location. We understood that the residences north to the property had been using the property as access, although the parcel, it's private. There is no private road and there is no private access into the property. There is one home, which is the home in the middle of that parcel, and that home is, I have the address here. That would be for home at 1609 Road 42. That home has an easement. It has never been used to access their home. Their address reads at 1609 Road 42 in Pasco, but they've been using our property as access into their home. We don't mind. We understand that the zoning was a little confusing, and the location of Ruby Street ends at one of the homes to the west, to the east of the property. We know that they've been using this property and has never been improved since 1943. So we did not want to create any issues with them, and we grant them access. We haven't stopped them from accessing their homes through our property. When we were planning our building with our engineers, we actually came up with the idea to actually grant them access and improve their access into their homes by paving the roads and allowing them to continue to use our property as a way of accessing their homes. And so we did a bunch of planning. We do believe the building is, we hope to be just like you saw in the picture, a luxury residential home. After we learned that we could actually apply for a commercial and residential mixed use, we thought that was the best way to approach the property. And so we are bringing in, or we hope to bring in, businesses in the bottom, residences on top, just like you see in the big cities, with our hope that future developments or future improvements into our city copycat what we're doing to make sure that our city continues to improve on the looks of what you normally see in a typical apartment building. And so our engineer wasn't able to come in today. She was sick, but we did have a chance to review everyone's concerns, especially the neighbors to the north of the property. We know they've been using our property as access into their home, but again, it's not a private road. It's not an access, but we are willing to grant them access and actually improve their ways into their homes. And so if I know there's a few here that may have questions, may have concerns. We did go last week to try to talk to them in person to person, face to face, and we weren't lucky enough to do that or find anyone who submitted their emails with concerns. And I know there might be someone here, but if I have a chance, I'd like to maybe clarify some things at the end of the meeting.
Sure. Yeah, this is, tonight's not going to be a time for question and answers, but you're more than welcome to wait around afterwards to address any questions that people might have.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add at this time, Mr. Ramirez?
No, the other thing that I wanted to mention to the residents on the side of east of Ruby, where Ruby ends into our property, when we were discussing maybe bringing residential homes into the property, change to the access into Ruby Street through our property was imminent. So I know they were asking about maybe keeping the road block, but even if we were to build homes or something that was smaller, we have to make the improvement into Ruby for accessing those homes or those projects that we may have. And so for them, the access that our future tenants may have is not going to be their main entrance through Ruby Street. The main entrance we have programmed for this project is through Court Street and through 42nd which does not affect any of the homes that are to the west of the property, and does not affect the ones to the east of Ruby, to the north. We hope that all of our tenants use the main street, which is heavily used, which is Court Street, through the south of the property, and that they actually access their homes or their apartments through 42nd as well. So we have Ruby as an additional access. So we believe the people that will be using that is some tenants that may have kids who will access that to take their kids into the elementary school that's just north to the property to the east of the location. But change to Ruby is imminent whether we do the building or we do a small residential home. It has to be improved. That's all we have.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you.
Was there any member of the public that wants to provide testimony? And again, it's not a question and answer period. It's just a time for you to hopefully tell me how the project does or does not comply with the applicable rules and regulations. So, sir, we'll start with you and your name and address, please.
My name is Martin Romero. I live 4105 West Ruby.
All right, sir, and how do you spell your last name?
Romero.
All right, just like it sounds. All right, would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. And I've got your address on Ruby there. So what would you like to tell me?
I'm just concerned about the wall going up in front of my house, 6-foot wall. I don't know if we can work something out with that.
Okay, that's something that you can discuss with the developer in the event that this project is approved. What else would you like to tell me?
That's all. I just haven't seen any houses around the city with a big of a wall in front of the house, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Renero. Was there anybody else from the public that wishes to testify on this matter?
Yes, I would.
All right. I don't see you at the podium.
No, I'm on Zoom on a Zoom call right now. I've been here for about an hour and a half already.
All right, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Javier Gomez. I live at 4205 West Court Street.
All right, I'm going to have you raise your right hand. I'll take your word for it. Sir, do you
Yes,
swear
sir.
or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Gomez, what would you like to tell me?
Well, I have a couple concerns. I moved into this residence 3 years ago. I'm from Adams County. I'm new to Pasco. Been here just about 3 years now. And for the longest time, I thought it was a problem with my residence. But after talking to some neighbors and family that live down on 44th in Court, there's a strong smell of sewage in the mornings. Not every day, but damn near almost every day. There's a really small sewage, really bad sewage smell, and it lasts clear from 3 to 4 in the morning until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock later in the morning. And I'm wondering if is anything going to be done to take care of that issue, or if the city of Pasco even knows about it, and how is a whole entire apartment complex going to affect that? Also, with all the construction done last year down Road 68, there was not a sidewalk put in front of my residence or in front of the proposed residence where they're going to build this sidewalk. And there is extreme amount of foot traffic that goes up and down Court Street. Would something be done as far as that, maybe putting in a sidewalk or anything like that? That's another issue. Another issue I have with the place, like I said, I'm not opposed to anything getting built there. I would just like to see some kind of improvements for what we already have going on. Along with those issues, on Road 42 40 is the last stoplight heading west, and there seems to be a really bad issue with the street racing. We could hear from my residents, we could hear them honk their horns, and the two cars line up at that stoplight. And when that stoplight hits green, they floor it, and they're doing, by the time they get in front of my residence, they're doing 60, 70 miles an hour. And it happens every Friday night, Saturday night, without fail. And there's no patrol, no nothing getting done with it. I've never seen anybody pulled over in the 3 blocks in front of my house. So those 3 issues are the only things that I have to oppose of anything being built there. I'm not opposed to anything being built there. I would just like to see something done about those 3 issues.
All right. Thank you very much for coming and waiting, Mr. Gomez. I appreciate your patience.
No worries.
Was there anybody else who wishes to provide any testimony on this matter? All right. Is there anything further from staff?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hearing Examiner. There is someone online who wishes to speak.
Hello?
Is there somebody else online other than Mr. Gomez that wishes to speak?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Your name, yes, your name, please.
Demetrius Malloy.
How do you spell Demetrius?
Darmetric.
Oh, boy, I was way wrong.
That's okay.
Darmetric. Okay.
RIC. Sounds like Darmetric.
Okay. Yes, it does. And what was your last name? I got all hooked up on that one. What's your last name, please?
Malloy. Malloy.
All right, Mr. Malloy, I'll have you raise your right hand for me, please. And sir, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that any testimony you give tonight will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. And sir, what would you like to tell me?
Yes. I guess it's a comment and a concern. My mother-in-law lives at 1609 North Road 42, and as part of the material that was given, they said that there would be a 20-foot wide access easement allowed to the specific parcels that were impacted on that side of the proposed development. And we submitted some questions to planning, and we hadn't received some answers back. And so we were a little concerned about within that easement, if that also include bison disposal, would we have to put the waste cans in the driveway and block the driveway, or is that also an extension of that? So just trying to understand some of the nuances as it relates to the parcels and the, I guess, private road as it's labeled that isn't really accessible to everybody, but is really owned by the parcel owner. Just trying to get some clarification on that so we can have an understanding of how that looks after the project is complete. So that's the main concern we have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Malloy. And those are probably questions that can be easily answered if you get in touch with the applicant's representative or their architect. So anyway, there's the answers can certainly be found. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else online that wishes to testify?
No, sir.
All right, and there's nobody else in the hearing room, I take it, that wishes to testify. So is there anything further from staff?
No, sir.
Is there anything further from the applicant, Mr. Ramirez?
I just want to answer real quick. Do I have to?
No. Just state your name. You're already on.
To Mr. Gomez, who asked about the fencing, that was a recommendation that was brought in by SEPA. We weren't planning to do fencing because of the look that it would probably bring into their homes, but because of the SEPA recommendation to separate our property from the neighboring homes, it was a recommendation which we followed, and that's why there is a fence that would be aligned within the property. We are in the preliminary planning for this building, which we could change if needed be. We're not trying to create a problem to the neighbors that already exist within their location. We're just trying to work with them to make sure that our project is well received within the community and with our neighboring neighbors. To Mr. The person who just spoke online, we will be improving the road. Although the easement that was granted for that home was never used, we're okay with expanding a portion of our property to make sure that you have more access into your home, better access actually, by not having a gravel road, but having more of an asphalt road for your home. That's all.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez. And what I'm going to do is I will close the public record portion of the hearing on this matter as well. I will have a written decision made within the next 10 working days. There are no other items that are on tonight's agenda. So I'm now going to adjourn this February 14th, Valentine's Day hearing of the Pasco Hearing Examiner. Thank you all very much for coming. This meeting is now adjourned. Everybody have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.